someone, you stick by them no matter what. But what if that's not always true? What if sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back? You shouldn't be sacrificing your well-being for someone else's comfort. Sometimes love means loving from a distance. It can mean wishing someone well without participating in their drama. It can mean supporting their growth without being their crutch. Our instinct is often to cling, to try and fix, to always be present. The most loving act is to step back and allow both parties room to grow. You can hold someone in your heart without holding their hand. Your love isn't determined by your proximity. It's reflected by your genuine wish for their well-being, even if that well-being doesn't include your constant presence.
The best relationship is the one where yesterday's fight doesn't stop today's communication. Instead of staying angry and bottling it up inside, you choose to listen, understand each other's feelings, and solve the problem together. Disagreements will happen, but they shouldn't create a wall between you. Being willing to fix things instead of holding on to anger shows that you truly care about each other and want your relationship to grow stronger. You should forgive every single person that's ever wronged you. Because the only person who feels the pain of resentment deserves peace.
And then one day, just like that, we shut our eyes for the...
God doesn't give you the people you want. He gives you the people you need to help you, to hurt you, to leave you, to love you, to break you down, to build you up, and to make you the person you were meant to be.
One day, you will bury your father. And that day, you will realize you lost the only man who truly wanted you to be better than him. So while you have time, spend time, forgive, and be there for your father. You never know if you'll be able to do it again. Sometimes God will destroy your plans if he sees that your plans are about to destroy you. Remember, when a door closes, it's not rejection, but divine protection. What feels like a loss now could have been the very thing that saved you from something far worse.
There are only two people in this world that you need to make proud. It's not your mum. It's not your dad. Not your husband. Not your wife. Not your kids. It's the 8-year-old version of you and the 80-year-old version of you. If those two people are happy with the way you lived your life, it means you did everything right. You keep trying to fix yourself, don't you? But what if healing isn't about fixing anything at all? You've been fighting so hard to mend what's broken inside you, to glue the shattered pieces back together. But what if healing isn't about fixing? What if it's about loving those broken parts enough to let them breathe? Healing is not a race or a checklist to complete. It's a quiet process of learning to sit with your pain, to let the raw edges of your wounds soften over time. Instead of rushing to feel better, give yourself the grace to be where you are. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. When you stop trying to fix every flaw and start accepting your imperfections as part of your growth, that's where the real healing happens. It's in the pauses, the deep breaths, and the moments of self-compassion. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be patient with yourself. Empathy burnout is a real thing. After so many years of putting other people first, overpouring, overgiving, people-pleasing, trying to understand people's reasons for hurting you, you're exhausted, drained, and indifferent. So when people cry to return after treating you badly, you just no longer care. If someone who has been in my life comes and says something to you about me, even if it's negative, I might tell you to believe them because of what they had to do to get me to that point. I am absolutely a villain in some people's stories, but people's minds and memories are selective, and they just start where I became the villain. And I am very comfortable being the villain in your story, because I know myself well enough to know I will never wake up and intentionally want to hurt you. And even when you hurt me, I will never want to hurt you back. But you best believe I will stand my ground. You will no longer have access to me. And if I come off as cruel, so be it. 7 things in life you need to understand. 1. If past lovers can remain just friends, it's either they are still in love or they never were. 2. The people who get upset with each other over the stupidest things are usually the ones who care the most. 3. If a person always tries to help and support others, it's likely that no one can imagine how often they themselves need help and support. 4. Many people lose out on good relationships because they listen to a friend's toxic advice. 5. True love is when someone appreciates you for who you are. Fake love is when someone tries to change you into their perfect ideal. 6. The most difficult battles are often fought within ourselves. 7. Happiness is not found in the pursuit of perfection, but in the acceptance of imperfection.
Believe it or not, someone is still thinking of you. Someone is still using the phrases and words you used. Someone is still listening to the music you've showed them. Someone is still telling jokes they heard from you. Someone is still encouraged by the advice you gave them. Someone admires you from afar and is inspired by you. Someone learned how to love from you. They go about their lives, maybe without realizing how much of you they've kept with them. The way they handle things differently, the small choices they make, or the way they see things a bit clearer. You might just be a memory on the surface, but underneath, there's more. You've become part of who they are, shaping them in ways that matter deeply. And while they may not say it, they're grateful for it. You made a mark that lasts.
You are anxious because you don't act. You overthink because you don't write. You procrastinate because you have no plan. You stress because you let tasks pile up. You lack clarity because you don't have a schedule. You feel lost because you haven't searched for your purpose. You need validation because you haven't found it within yourself. You feel overwhelmed because you try to control what's beyond your reach. All your problems have a solution. You just need to have the courage to take the first step.
One of the most ironic parts of healing is that when we start to get better, we often get sad because we start to realize how much we've missed out on, how badly certain people failed us, and what the younger version of us actually deserved. Healing involves healthy grieving. There's no way around it. Sometimes you have to suffer in life, not because you were bad, but because you still didn't understand where and when you have to stop being good. Sometimes crying is the only way your eyes speak, when your words can't explain how broken your heart is. But that's where the beauty of healing lies, in that vulnerable space where your emotions take form and release. It's in that silent suffering that you begin to reclaim your power. You learn that grieving is not weakness, but the path to growth. You start to understand that pain is not your enemy, but a guide showing you where to set boundaries, where to say enough. The tears wash away what no longer serves you, making room for something stronger, something wiser. As you heal, you realize that not all suffering is a punishment. Sometimes it's a lesson, a harsh but necessary one. If you have food on your plate, clothes on your body, and a place to sleep, you're richer than 55% of people in the world. If you have money to spend as you wish and freedom to go anywhere you want, you are among the top 8% of the world's population. If you're alive today, with more health than illness, You are more blessed than the million people that won't survive this week. And if you can read and understand this message, you are more fortunate than the 500 million people who cannot see, cannot read, and cannot access the knowledge and information that surrounds us. Life is not for complaining about pain and sorrows. It's about prioritizing the countless other reasons to be grateful and happy. If you have food on your plate, clothes on your body,